All right, welcome in. Hello. If you're watching on YouTube, it's good to have you. Thank you for joining the video, I guess. This is a live stream. We're live currently in my time. If you're watching this pre-recorded, that's amazing. Please like and subscribe to the channel. That would be awesome. We do live streams a couple times a week, and you can always catch the videos after the fact. The chat is going to be down here on the horizontal stream and right here on the vertical stream. Today we're going to be doing a recipe development day. The first recipe that we're working on is a very simple chicken, lentil, tomato, herb salad. It's meant to be a hot salad, so it's meant to eat as it is still warm, but it is also very good cold. It's got just a very little seasoning on it. There's no dressing on this one, so it's great for like a cold salad. You can pack it the next day for lunch. It works really well at room temperature. This is something that I've made a bunch of different times and a bunch of different ways, and today we're just formalizing some of the actual specifics and directions here so that it can be made into a recipe. So I have my basic directions, and we're gonna flesh these out with a whole bunch of notes. The other thing that we're making today is a very straightforward salad. I call this one the "Can I bring something" salad because there's no cooking involved. There's barely any actual work involved. If you have a food processor, this salad takes conservatively maybe 5 minutes to make. If you don't have a food processor, it might take a little bit longer. You might have to do some knife work. We're going to try to shave off some Brussels sprouts on a box grater today. See how that feels. We're going to try to do some on the mandolin. See how that feels. Hopefully not sharp. And it also has apple and lemon and Parmesan. The chicken lentil salad has chicken thighs, green lentils, garlic powder, tomato, and herbs, along with salt and pepper. They both have salt and pepper. Obviously, they both have olive oil as well. So I'm going to work on the chicken salad first, or the chicken and lentil first, because this is a heat required recipe, which takes a little bit longer usually. So we're gonna work through this as we get into things here. I don't really have a complete formal recipe written down here. So what we're starting with is our ingredients. We're going to measure out what I think is the right amount of chicken thighs, of lentils, garlic powder, tomatoes, herbs. We're going to sort of measure those out and do a mise en place for those. Then we're going to cook the chicken, cook the lentils, and then combine them. So basically, my ingredient list here just says blank chicken thighs, blank cups, blank ounces, blank grams. And then it says the same blanks for green lentils, garlic powder, grape tomato, herbs, salt, pepper. I also need to measure how much olive oil I'm using, but that's, I'm saying that now. I'm forgetting that later. So let's actually, I always forget to write down. I don't always forget to write down, but often I overlook putting a blank for olive oil on my recipe templates. Anyway, directions for this one say cook chicken thighs in skillet, remove and shred. Cook lentils in skillet. Combine, add back chicken, stir in tomatoes and herbs. Okay, so the essence of this recipe is that it is one pan, basically like 30 minutes of time, and very easy. That's the whole goal here, is that this is the main goal is that this is in one pan. The secondary goal is that it is under 30 minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to cook the chicken. Like I said, we're going to cook the chicken first before we do anything else, before we cut the herbs, before we cut the tomatoes, before we measure out the garlic powder or the lentils. So essentially we're going to do that. I personally am going to prep everything first, which even if the recipe said to like, while the chicken cooks, cut the tomatoes, I would personally do the tomatoes first. So we're going to do that because I want to be able to measure and do all the ingredients and what have you. We're probably going to test this again on Thursday on the next stream. And when I do that, I will test the recipe as written. So usually what I'm doing when I'm working on a recipe is I am doing all of my like finite measuring, note taking, that type of thing on the first round. And then the second round, I'm refining, I'm following the recipe exactly and refining the language of that recipe, the language and process of that recipe. So this is something I've made a bunch before. This is a like quick weeknight dinner. This is also a great lunch. Like if you work from home or you have, you're at home for lunchtime, this is super easy to pull together. I'm considering that I probably ultimately want this to be made with canned lentils as opposed to dried lentils because they're quicker, because they're literally already cooked. However, green lentils don't usually come in a can. Canned lentils are usually brown or red or black. So for today, I have black lentils. And then these say black lentils. These just say lentils. And I don't know what color y'all would consider those lentils. But if you told me they were brown, I would say yes. And if you told me they were red lentils, I would also say yes. So I'm going to try it. I think with the canned lentils, I think what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do is the first time I make it, I'm going to do it with the green lentils because this is what I want. These cook about 15 to 20 minutes, it says. So what I'm planning on doing is cooking the chicken in a pan, taking the chicken out, putting the lentils with like 2 cups or so of water in the pan, the same pan, so I get all the fond off of there, and cooking them that way, and then basically cooking them down until cooking off the liquid until there is like no liquid left and they're finished. I feel like that's going to be tricky and like not necessarily complicated, but like way more complicated than open a can and dump it in. Far more complicated than that. So I'm going back and forth in my head because when I make this myself, my process is cook the chicken and then do exactly what I said. I put the lentils in the pan and I just keep adding water to it until they're done. It's like risotto. Literally like that. But I don't want this to be risotto complicated. It cannot, this recipe cannot be risotto complicated. This has to be the simplest thing. So what I'm going to do is today we're going to do it with the dry lentils because I know that it will work and I want to check how long it takes and what the ratio of water is, what the amount, like basically I'm gonna do a lot of like measuring ahead of time. Like we're gonna measure like 4 cups of water, and I'm gonna scoop it into the pan like little by little. Similar to what we did with the what recipe was it? Command recipes. There was a recipe that there's a recipe that I did this for already. That was it was the pasta stew. It was the orzo pasta stew, which is on the website. That I did this for, and it worked but we needed to figure out basically what the ratio of everything was, and that took a little while. Amy, welcome in. Happy Tuesday. Canned lentils are super affordable, Twinderella. Yeah, we were in the store the other day, and I was buying white beans, and they were 89 cents for the can, which I was like, damn, those are expensive for a can of beans, a literal can of beans. And Calvin was like, 89 cents? That's like nothing. And I was like, I'm glad that I'm glad that's your perspective. Thank you. Whatever. It is what it is. I'll tell you what's less than a can of beans though. Dried lentils. These, like, I think these, I have to look at the price of these. Let me look at the price of these. Hold on. I have the receipt. I think, let's see. These are $2.50 for the bag. So $2.50 for a pound of lentils. Pretty good deal. Whereas the can is 89 cents for a 15-ounce can. But these are dried. So math and profit. I don't know how to do either one of those things. Anyway. Damn, that was sad. Deathwish, welcome in. Hello. Amy G, did I say hi to you? I think I did. I might have, and if I didn't, hello again. Reggie the Veggie, welcome in. Nice to have you. Happy Tuesday. Okay, so we get the chicken thighs, the green lentils, the garlic powder, grape tomatoes. We're using the cherub grape tomatoes. These are organic. Great. Didn't realize that. Got them at Aldi. Fresh herbs, chopped, dill, parsley, chive. Doesn't really matter what kind of herbs. Let's get out some herbs. And I hope these are still good. I got these at Reading Terminal. When did I get these? I'm really slacking on my herb box, y'all. It's actually making me a little sad and frustrated because I could have put these in the herb box and I know that they would be fine. I could do that right now, but am I going to? No. Just being real. Okay. So we're just gonna pull off some dill here. This is it. There we go. Twinderella, that's a great autocorrect. Twinderella says, when I was pumping for my kids, I had someone tell me that breast milk is only free if your time is worth nothing. Dried lentils cost less plus your time. No, that's true. Right. And that's, again, kind of to your point. I think I'm ultimately going to write this recipe, work on it with the dried lentils, because I know that I personally like that better. And I think that would be, why did I do that? Why did I just do that? I just took the top off of here and threw it away. And now I have like a tray of tomatoes, and I could have just had a cup of tomatoes. And then I don't even know what size tomatoes these are. These are 1 U.S. dry pint, 10 ounces. Oh my God. Well, we're off to a good start. Anyway, reminder, Lou, take notes. Take notes. Today's the day you got to take notes. Let's see. 10-ounce container. Ding. If you'd like to get your channel point reward, you can do that. There's a link or a thing in the Twitch chat. Turn Twitch stream died. Interesting. I wonder if it's live for anyone else, or not live for anyone else. Oh, weird. It's yeah, I think that's a Twitch thing. I feel like that's a Twitch thing because the bitrate just dropped a ton. I can see my bitrate is low on Twitch. Interesting. It's fine in my broadcasts, so I don't know what the actual. I do not know what the actual issue is. I wish that I did, but I don't. Okay. This is 9.8 ounces. This is like the right amount. So we're gonna cut this whole thing. Ultimately, I want these tomatoes. We're gonna cut these in half. Lychee, thank you for letting me know. Yeah, I can see that it dropped in my OBS, or not in OBS, Stream Manager, but I can't. It's still broadcasting fine from OBS on my end. So that's always fun when you don't know what the issue is. Let's do some tomato cutting. Reggie the Veggie redeemed. Catch me up. Happy to. Not a ton to catch up on right now. Unless you're talking about like life in between the last stream and today, in which case a lot. The catch me up is first stream though. Basically, started stream. We had a cat on the counter. The cat was here. The cat was very present. Ash was here for a little while, just hanging out. We talked a little bit about school starting, and then talked through the goals today. So the actual like what recipes I'm working on. Talked for just a few moments about favorite things to make, favorite things to cook. Introduce myself more formally for the folks who came in with the Cooking with Connor raid. And then we got started. We fired up the actual like stream of consciousness. We talked about the formal process of developing recipes that I go through a little bit, and then we're starting. Chungus, hello. Do you plan to get the other sleeve done? You know, I actually don't. I don't have any specific plans for it. I think that I would. I'm sort of. I think that this other arm is mostly going to be for like little pieces, like standalone types of things, small stuff. At least that's kind of what it is currently. I like sort of a whole thought out piece, which this one was, but I don't have anything that I don't have anything that I would really want to cover my entire other arm in the same way that I was like, oh, this would be nice to like do like a bunch of food related things. I've thought about doing like other food related stuff, like all different pastries perhaps. But I also thought that might be disingenuous because I don't make pastries necessarily. I just like to eat them. So no specific plans for anything more complete. Just kind of gonna play it by ear, I suppose, which is what I have been doing. Okay. So I'm going to do a little bit of salt on here. I'm going to do maybe a half a teaspoon. Let's just do a quarter teaspoon of salt. So I'm going to sprinkle this with a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then I'm going to give these a stir. Yeah, 1/4 teaspoon. 1/4 teaspoon's plenty. Because I just want to, I want to start these being salted. And it doesn't, they're fine. Kosher. Oh shit, that's the note that I forgot. Hold on, I need to send a really quick email. Like really quick email. Where are we? Hold on. It's under sent. I just remembered something that I needed to send along with a recipe that I was testing. Okay, got it. Where was I? Oh, salt. Okay, so I'm doing mise en place for my tomatoes. In the final version of this recipe, I'm gonna say like start cooking the chicken, then put the then cut the tomatoes and herbs. I'm doing both of those things now because I want to be able to like measure them. With the salting here, the salt, when you add the salt earlier, it will sort of draw out a bunch of the liquid. I think that that's fine. I'm just going to add it in. It would be in there anyway. But if you salt them later, it won't draw out as much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Call that 9. I need to rinse these off. They have little dirt specks on them. Just a moment. That's better. So a protein arm would just be like beans. My protein arm would be like chickpeas, kidney beans, black beans. Actually, it would just be like chicken thighs. Everything would just be like a chicken thigh. The biggest thing on there would be chicken thighs. All right, what did I say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. About 8 sprigs of dill. And we're going to actually measure that as well because we're doing a recipe. Now, again, you could use dried dill here. That would certainly work. If you use dried dill, you would use a different volume than what I'm using, but that's fine. Yeah, Chungus, a full arm of pastry tattoos would be great. I think I would personally love that. My only issue would be, as someone who has, visible tattoos, you get asked about them all the time. And I don't mind like when people ask about the ones that I have now, because my answer, usually, at least I would say every time I leave the house, someone makes a comment about them. Like, oh, whatever. And it's fine. I don't think you get tattoos without the expectation that people are like going to say things about them, because like maybe you're it's like that you're going to be drawing attention to yourself, right? Like you're aware. So this is about a tablespoon That's about a tablespoon and a half of dill. It's a good amount of dill. One half fresh. I would say if you're using dry, probably like 2 teaspoons might do it. Okay, so the garlic powder is already here. The herbs are here. Tomatoes are here. Let's measure these cup wise too, like volume wise. Because I have the weight. I don't have cups. So let's do an actual, like, how many cups is this? It's about 1.5 cups, I would say, but we're gonna take a look. 2. Perfect. Marianne, welcome in. The thing that I'm slowly arriving at is that with a pastry tattoo, like with these, people are like, oh, are you vegan? No. Are you vegetarian? No. Do you like to cook? Yes. And then I can talk about them like, oh, it's my family's favorite vegetables, blah, blah, blah. Well, having a bunch of pastries, people would be like, oh, are you a pastry chef? And I'll be like, no. Like, well, do you like to make pastries at home? Like, no. Why did you get them? Because I love cheese Danishes. So I feel like it would be harder to justify. Not justify, it'd be easy to justify. I love Danishes. Obviously, here they are. But like, I feel like that's a thing where I would get like a cheese Danish, not a whole sleeve of them. Anyway, chicken and green lentils are the other things that we need to worry about today. That we need to address. So I think with the chicken, I'm going to call for basically 4 chicken thighs. I have a package of them. I don't know how many are in here. I don't know what the weight is. I don't really know anything about it. So let's open this up and see what we're actually working with here. So I'm going to put some gloves on here because I'm like, I don't want to have to wash my hands like 6 times doing this. And let's get a plate to put these on once I get them out of the package. So we're working on our first recipe today. The first recipe is a warm chicken and lentil salad with garlic powder, grape tomatoes, and fresh herbs. You can use dried herbs on it. As I mentioned, you can use canned. You will be able. Canned lentils will be fine. I am personally using a dried green lentils for myself today. To do that first, and then we will probably make this again and evaluate. So, chicken thighs. This is 1, 2. There's 4 in here. Okay, that's good. 2, 3. Actually, really only want like a pound. That's 1.5 pounds here. That's a lot. This is a lot of chicken. So the ratio of like chicken, lentils, and tomatoes should roughly be about equal. So I'm going to take. Let's do 2. Now we'll do whichever one of these comes closer to a pound. 1 pound, 2 ounces. Perfect. So we're going to leave this chicken thigh in here. Am I going to leave this chicken thigh in here? What's my other package? Hold on. I have chicken thighs are weird. All the packages of chicken thighs that I see are like 1.5 pounds. Like basically every one. What's the other package? I have 2 in here. The other one is 1.48 pounds. Okay, so the other package is the same weight. I think 1.5 pounds is a lot, probably too much. but we're going to go for it. We're going to cook that much. And if it looks like too much, once they're all cooked, I'll use less of the cooked chicken thighs and just put one in the fridge. Okay. So that's what we're going to do, because when I was in the store, both yesterday and today, looking at chicken thighs, I was like, oh, none of these are exactly a pound. They're all like 1 pound, 1.3 pounds. There was some that were like 1.7. Basically, it went from like 0.3 to 1.3 to 1.7. I don't know if that's the experience that y'all have shopping for chicken thighs where you live, but I feel like that's pretty standard. Now, I'm also looking at like packaged chicken thighs, right? So usually when I buy them, they're in a case. They're just like loose in the case. And they're like, how much do you want? And I'm like, a pound. And they just pull out like a few. What I think this recipe ultimately, I'd like to have it serve 4 people as a side salad, or 2 people as a main. So I think 4 chicken thighs is probably like the right answer. Sort of regardless of weight, I think 4 is probably the right answer. Cyber, welcome in. Welcome in. Thank you for your resub. I appreciate you. 30 months. We hit the big 3-0 when you're no longer in your 20s anymore. Oh, man. Fun. Oh, we're talking about subscription terms, not age. Also age. Anyway, Bellis, very rare carryout day. I feel like that's justified. I feel like that's justified, truly. Like, if you're going through what could be a traumatic experience, but also what is certainly an anxious one regardless, I think having a little something, like a little treat, essentially, to look forward to is a good bit of self-care. Okay. We want to cook the chicken thighs. So this is when I want to sort of start my timer, not start timing, right? But and I do want to start the timer because I want to like figure out how long to cook the chicken thighs. But this is when I want to sort of determine, okay, how long do the chicken thighs take? How long will the lentils take? I think the chicken thighs should take 6 to 8 minutes total. And then I think the lentils should take maybe 15, somewhere between 15 or so minutes, depending on how many I put in the pan and how much water I put in the pan. So I also want to get out my lid for this pan because I feel like I'm going to want to cover this. So I have a Krispy Kreme donuts when you had to get shots at the pediatricians. Right. Carry out for dinner is the adult version of that. Like, completely. Because listen, when you go to the doctor's office as an adult and they give you the lollipop, you're like, no, just charge me less. Like, what are we doing here? Seriously though, charge me less. We're going to come over to the stove here, so just bear with me a moment as I get the camera, the stove camera adjusted and in place, which I didn't do before stream. Which is fine. There's no reason to have done this before stream. I wasn't using it, and I don't use it for the starting soon screen anymore because we use the clips, which sometimes work. Okay. Third camera. Let's check and see if that works. Hold on. We're going to do this view first. Hey, it does work. Look at that. Alexandra on YouTube, welcome in. Lentils indeed. We are definitely making lentils. They are, well, we're making chicken first, but the lentils will be shortly afterward. Let's see. White balance is a little off on that. That's too blue. There we go. That looks to be about right. And cool. All right. Here's what we're gonna do. I need to get my stuff all set up here. And I also need to like make sure I have my notes and writing implements ready. So this is a skillet meal. This is a cast iron, or not a cast iron. Sorry. This is a stainless steel skillet, essentially. You could probably make this in I'm sure you could make this in a Dutch oven. You could definitely make this in a cast iron skillet. Either of those things are fine. I'm using this pan because it is, I like, because I don't know, because this is the pan I always use to make this dish when I make this dish. So why am I using this one? Because this is the pan. Because this one's the right one. This is the right one to use. All right. But I do need to take some notes here on like what I'm doing. So I need a clipboard. I used to have a clipboard, and I don't anymore. Hold on. I got an idea. Do I have a... Aha. Beautiful. We're gonna make a clipboard. There. Clipboard achieved. So we have our chicken. We have our olive oil, salt, pepper. Ready to go. Immediately after we're finished with the chicken, I'm going to need to add the lentils. So let's get my lentils measured out and ready first before I start that. So I also mentioned I'm going to take a big bowl with water in it, and we're going to sort of pull out of this to cook the lentils. So what I'll end up with is we'll end up with is a volume of water left in this bowl, and we'll take the difference, and that'll be the amount. And so my goal is going to be to basically take the water and add it all at once in the final version of this. But what I'm aiming for is that I add just enough so that at the end of the cooking time, there is a little bit left, just a very little bit of water left in the pan, and the lentils are fully cooked. That way, when I stir in the chicken, it will soak up a little bit of that leftover liquid, and the tomatoes, obviously, they're liquidy on their own. But the goal is to just have just the right amount to cook, but not to have it be like soupy. So that's a balance, and we're going to try to achieve that by adding a little bit of the time, and then we'll test this. When we test this again, we'll add all of it at once and see if that works out. It should, in theory, work out, but it also may change because of the heat, evaporation, kind of all the different things. Okay, lentils require no soaking. In a large pot, for each pound of lentils, this is a pound, add 6 to 8 cups of hot water. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is figure out. I'm probably gonna use 8 ounces of lentils out of here, right? So about half of this bag. So if I use 8 ounces, that's about 3 to 4 cups of water total, if I'm doing my math correctly. So let's add 4 cups into this bowl. If we need more, we will. And then we'll pull out essentially like 2 cups at a time. I'm assuming that it will evaporate quite a bit, which is why I got the lid out. Okay, so I have 4 total cups of water. Alexander, this is on YouTube. This is the pan. It definitely is. It is the stainless steel, like triple bonded, all clad pan is an excellent pan. I only have one, and it's the same one I've had for a long time. I keep it very clean, and the trick with all of these stainless steel pans is to preheat them. When you preheat them, they act a lot like cast iron, and when you just go into them cold, everything sticks and will never ever come off. So there's a fine balance for sure. KF, welcome in. Yeah, the dry lentils are great. I'm ultimately going to make this recipe. I'm going to write this recipe for canned lentils because I think that it will be more accessible. However, I'm trying it. I always myself make it with the dry lentils. So we're doing it that way. So I have like a formal process for it. But with the canned lentils, it'll be obviously quite a bit easier because they're already cooked. We don't need to do any of these calculations. So 8 ounces of lentils is a cup. We're going to start with that, and then we'll see what needs to be adjusted after the fact. So, how many grams is that? 226. All right. Okay. Sorry, making some other notes here. I think we're good to use. I think we're good to go. So let's hop over to the stove. We're going to put the pan on the main camera and get that going. So we don't need to look at my compost bin. That's not a thing. So let's start this. We're turning the heat on here. Click, 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 click. There it goes. Boom. Okay, we're turning the heat on. I'm turning the heat to a medium high. That is a 4 out of 7 for anyone keeping track. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of olive oil to this. So quite a bit of olive oil, but this is all cooking in the same pan. So that's totally fine. We're going to let that pan heat for just a moment before I add the olive oil. And we're going to start our count up timer right now. So this is going to heat for maybe a minute or so before I add anything to it. But it's yeah, it's on a medium. You know what we're going to do? I'm going to take my little heat ring too that I use for coffee and put that on this burner instead. How to tell your hands are used to heat. Wait, no, we're not. No, we're not, because the pot's not sitting very well on there. The pan it was off center. I use that little ring when I have a pan, when I'm using a couple other pans that I have, because they have a smaller footprint to them. This one has a pretty big flat bottom. So, all right, this has been heating now for about a minute. So I'm going to add my olive oil. And we're going to let that heat up and make sure that it coats the whole bottom of the pan. So this should look shimmery. And then when we are ready, so this is starting to look definitely looking a little shimmery here. I'm going to pull the camera up just a bit, because I'm expecting to get maybe a little splatter off of here. But we can zoom the camera in. So the camera is higher, but we're actually farther away. Camera's the same, looks to be the same distance, but through the magic of the zoom. Okay, so we're still at medium high. We're going to take our 4 chicken thighs and add them into the pan. We got 1, 2. And they stick immediately, which is fine. Three and 4. So we're starting a count up timer on those. And I am going to sprinkle these with half a teaspoon of salt. This is a 1/4 teaspoon. I'm going to do this twice. 1/4. And another 1/4. And then the same thing with pepper. With fresh ground black pepper. Use 1/4 teaspoon. And then we'll do this on the other side. Ideally, I would have done this prior to putting these in the pan. I didn't necessarily forget, but I'm just thinking, if this works fine, I will just season these while they're in the pan to save time. Okay, so this is going to be seasoned with 1/2 teaspoon S&P. So again, we're making notes. We're making notes on this. I put 2 tablespoons olive oil to simmer. And so these have been in here for it's about a minute and a half now. I'm going to let these just continue to cook because I really only want to flip these one time. I'm going to flip them more than that. I'm just going to acknowledge that that's probably going to happen. But what I'm watching for here is on the side of the chicken, the progression of the cook line on the big pieces. So like in here, and then in here, kind of hard to tell on the camera. I also, when I'm working on a recipe, I use my regular size burner, not my large burner. So I have a simmer burner, a quick boil burner, and then 2 regular size burners. I always just opt for the regular size ones because those will replicate more directly what someone else's kitchen might have available to them. You know, if you don't have a quick boil burner, then your cook time is going to be different if I use my like big burner. So I don't. I try to use the medium sized burner to be as appropriate to the general experience as possible. So I'm kind of giving these a shake. What I'm waiting for is for these to release from the pan. So when these have released from the pan, when I give them a little shake, that means that they are browned to the point where they're pretty well cooked. I'm not shaking them too hard. I'm just kind of giving them a little movement. So these have been in here for 4 minutes now. So maybe another minute or so. And I'm going to turn these up to medium high, which is 4.5. What was I just doing with the pan? I was tilting to evenly distribute the olive oil. And again, just making notes. Got my little clipboard here. Now, when I cook the lentils, I am going to put the lid on here because they will cook a lot quicker with the lid on, and I will lose less liquid. So the liquid ratio will be better. I keep wanting to touch these, but I'm not quite there yet. I'm going to do maybe like 6 minutes or so. We're almost released. I can see like little pieces starting to come loose when I shake. So again, we're cooking everything in the same pan. So all the chicken juice that comes out of here, all of this oil, all of the sort of fond that is stuck to the bottom of the pan is going to end up in my final dish, which is great and tasty. So I can see I'm starting to get pieces that are almost opaque on the outside, but not quite. That's 6 minutes. Let's see how close these are to release. Not quite. Okay. Let me give those another 8 minutes or so. Yeah. I might just pop the lid on here. I probably should have put the lid on here from the start. To help cook these quicker. But I did not. So I'm going to continue to not. And I'm going to turn that up to 5 out of 7. So the flame on here looks like this. Currently not super high. That's 7 minutes. At 8 minutes, I'm going to flip these. If they haven't released from the pan yet, I think that's fine. I was kind of waiting for that to happen, but I think these are ready, almost pretty much ready to flip. My cook line is almost to the top on this one, which is the biggest chunk. I would say it's about halfway up on this one. In the back of this, it's not quite halfway. I'm getting some fat popping. Okay, these have been in here for 8 minutes. I'm going to flip these. See what the bottom of these looks like. Yeah. Not quite browned yet. They're not quite completely browned, but I've got some sticky stuff on the bottom. All right, that looks good. So these are all in and ready to go. The other thing that you could do here that would make this a little quicker would be to cut these chicken thighs into pieces prior to cooking them. Karma, welcome in. Tatsu, good to see you. Twitch and YouTube aren't running at the same time. YouTube has a 2 to 3 second lag. That I cannot help, unfortunately. We're going to give another half a teaspoon of salt on this side now. Yeah, we had a little something is happening with one of those platforms today. They're usually not completely synced up, though. To be fair, I've never watched my own stream while it's live. My experience is that of everything's live, but, you know, but here I am. So the next thing we're going to do with this, we're waiting until this is at about 16 minutes or so. At 16 minutes, I'm going to, I'm going to take these out. I'm going to cut one open and see where we're at cook-wise. And then we will cook the lentils. Same pan. So I think my direction here is also going to be to add another like tablespoon of oil if things get too dry. Oil if too dry. Shouldn't be too dry. 9, welcome in. Happy Tuesday. Yeah, like this is definitely not too dry. Like when I tilt, I got a pretty generous amount of oil in here still. And there's fat on these. There's fat on these thighs, so we're good. Poured a last little bit out of my measuring cup there. So again, we're just waiting until about 16 minutes or so for these to cook. They are coming along. This is basically this cooks in 2 parts. Lentils, chicken first, then lentils. Once the chicken is finished, we take the lentils off. Once the chicken's finished, we take the chicken out and put the lentils in, and things are good. Alexa on YouTube asks, do you gain something or anything from YouTube? I have a monetized channel, so I gain money from members. So we have membership tiers on YouTube, so you can sign up and pay and be a member. There are benefits to that. One of the primary benefits is having an entry with our cookie club every month. We skipped sending out cookies for folks in July, or we skipped our August cookie make, but we will be doing our cookie make in September. It's already on the calendar. When the channel hits 1,000 followers or subscribers, different monetization options unlock. So I don't gain a lot from it currently, but it's good to have a presence in multiple places. And functionally, I love YouTube. I watch a lot of it. So, you know, nice to be there, I suppose. So I just scraped the bottom of this a little bit. This is looking pretty good. I'm at 14 minutes. At 16, I'm going to take a piece of chicken out of here. Actually, no, I'm just going to temp it while it's in the pan, just to make sure it's finished. I'm going to temp it now to see where we're at. Okay, so that is finished right now. That was 160. That's 160. This is one. Yeah, we're good. This is finished. This chicken is done. 14 minutes, so I could do 7 minutes per side. We're going to take this out and put the lentils in. So we're just kind of working here. This is all going to stay. I'm going to stay moving. We're going to take the chicken off, put it on a plate to rest. We'll kind of get as much of the chunks here as we can. Catastrophe, welcome in. So we have a pan. This is still on. I'm leaving it on. We're going to put the lentils in. Give them a shake. Get them kind of coated. There we go. And then I am going to put some water in here. I'm going to do a cup at a time. So 1 cup at a time. 1. I'm going to turn that up to high. So we have, what do we do here? Let's take some notes. Chicken out, lentils in with water. Chicken out, turn to high. Lentils in with water. Okay, so we're at. I'm gonna start another timer. So for the chicken, I could have done 7 and 7 because I pulled it at about 14 minutes. So 7 minutes one side, 7 minutes on the other. So these lentils are in. I'm going to add another cup of water to this just straight away because I'm positive that they're going to soak all of that up. We're going to add another. Let me get my teaspoon out because I know I'm actually, or half a teaspoon. So I'm going to add half and half. So 1 teaspoon of salt, kosher, 1 teaspoon of pepper. Okay, I also added water and 1/2 teaspoon S&P. Okay. We're going to give this a little stir. So what I want to do with this is stir, scrape the bottom. I'm going to add a 1/3 cup to this because lentils pull a lot of liquid. There we go. That's 3 cups. Let's see. Lentils in cups. 1, 2, 3. I want this to be on high until it boils. Then simmer with lid for a predetermined amount of time, a yet to be determined amount of time. So once this is simmering, we're going to put the lid on it. We'll come back over to the counter over here and I'll shred the chicken. This is when I would be slicing the tomatoes and the herbs during the lentil cooking time, during the chicken and lentil cooking time. So I did that already, and that took, time. But this is basically like several stretches of hands-off time. So I think what we will do, again, I'm just going to bring this to a boil, which will take another minute or so. Looks like we're getting some bubbles here. So it shouldn't be too long now. Total time on the heat has been 23 minutes. So we're not going to make our 30-minute mark here, but I think that when I write this up, what I'm going to do is have this have a lid while the chicken is cooking, which will cut the cook time down on the chicken by 2 to 3 minutes total. And then we'll end up having, again, I'm going to end up making this with canned lentils. So imagine that I just dumped the lentil can in, scraped the bottom, and then added the chicken back to the pan with tomatoes and herbs. Like, because these aren't crispy. Like, this isn't a crispy lentil dish. This is a cooked lentil dish. So there's no frying or any of that scenario here. So this is all what we're doing here right now is more to work on the process if you have dry lentils, because that's harder. It's more difficult and takes longer. Yeah, Shrama, yeah, exactly. Like fried. So, if you add lentils in with like a bunch of oil into a pan and just kind of pan fry them like that, this is not that. Although that would be very good. The goal of this is just to have cooked lentils. So these are we're boiling in the center. You can see my boil ring here, basically right where my burner is. So I'm going to turn this down to like a medium low and put the lid on. Actually, I'm going to turn that down to a straight medium and put the lid on. So that was about five minutes it took to come to a boil. I'm going to start my timer again, and we will see where we are in 5, maybe 5-10 minutes from now. So that boiled at 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Hey, look, you can see the camera. Angry Rook, welcome in. Hello. This is also where I should add the garlic powder for our purposes. Let's do that now before this gets too much further in. Yeah, we got a nice little boil going there. So we're gonna add let's say 3/4 teaspoons of garlic powder. We'll start with that, because if it's not enough, we'll bump it to a teaspoon, and if it's too much, we'll drop it to a half. Okay, so that's going, and that's been on for about a minute now, and we will be checking up on that. We'll check up on that in yeah, about 4 to 5 minutes, and see where those lentils got to. So at some point, what we were going to need to do is take the lid off of there. So when the lentils are like pretty much almost finished, the goal is that there's just enough water that I can take the lid off, cook them for a minute further. It steams off all of that, and we're left with a pan of cooked lentils that we then add back the chicken and the fresh tomatoes and herbs. And that's it. That's literally it. That's the dish. But what we're going to do now is take our chicken and shred that into a bowl. We're going to weigh this out, because the other option here is if you have leftover chicken, right? Leftover chicken or rotisserie chicken from the store, you don't need to cook fresh chicken for this. So rotisserie chicken from the store, canned lentils, honestly, like 5 minutes. 5 minutes for this dish. Now we're cooking everything today from dried lentils and the chicken thighs. So this is simmering. I can see tons of steam coming off of here, so I'm going to turn it to low to medium low. Medium low with the lid for an indeterminate amount of time. I don't know how long. We'll find out. We'll find out when they're done. I might also need to add more water to these if they get too dry. So we're going to take the lid off a couple times. And we're going to take the lid off here in about 2 minutes and check them and see how done they are. And then we're going to do a little bit of like narrowing that timeline down. So if they take 10 minutes to cook, when I am taking the lid off several times and adding water that needs to come farther up to temperature, then I'll know that I can take like 2 minutes, 3 minutes off of the thing on the final version of the recipe, and that will be appropriate. So, and then we test it. We're going to test it again. So this is not the final. This is not the final version today. We're working on the process. We're getting through what needs to happen, functionally what needs to happen, and then we'll finalize our timing, etc. The next go round. So we're gonna shred this chicken. This is quick, pretty quick. Oh no, Velos! That is actually bad news. Dolly Parton, R.I.P. And we're sure that's not a hoax. That is bad news. Dolly was a good one. Dolly Parton was like Dolly Parton was a good one. Damn, that is bad news. Thank you for sharing though. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like good. So one of like a country music, a country music person who was like, who understood humanity, and a food lover too. Yeah, man, that is not great news today. Do y'all notice how, not notice, but like, is it oh, are we where in the comes in threes are we for Dolly Parton? Was there like another celebrity who recently passed? I always there, there's always like the things like, oh, celebrities like pass away in threes. Like there's always a couple several at a time. Yeah, Trauma, exactly. Like definitely seemed like a kind person. Obviously never met her. Like she was not a best friend of mine, but I also was aware that she did a lot of actual good for the community and for humanity and people, and was very what's the word? Altruistic. Charitable is the word I'm searching for. Hubby died last year. Oh man. On a long enough timeline, it happens to everybody. Sorry to say. Well, we'll listen to Jolene tonight for everybody's benefit. And for the benefit of her estate. Is that her favorite or her not favorite most famous song? What's Dolly Parton's most famous song? Hey, if you hear that ding, that means that there is a channel point redemption that you can get and redeem for Cookie Club, towards getting a Cookie Club entry. It'll be there for another 60 to 70 seconds. 9 to 5. two, two, two in a row. All right. Yeah, that's probably true. Jolene was the first one that came to mind. Caretaker, welcome in. What size gloves do you use? Hey, now that's personal. I'm just kidding. I don't actually know. I'll look. I usually order a medium, I think. What size shoes you wearing, huh? I use I think they're medium because I like rubber gloves that are a little smaller on my hands and kind of fit more snugly. I don't love when they're really loose. When they're like, yeah, when they're really loose and they get in the way when that happens. So I'm gonna dump the liquid back in there. That was 514 grams of chicken. I'll look at the box in a second. 514 grams shredded, 18.8 ounces. It's actually 18.7. Roughly, because I poured the liquid in there. All right, so glove size is a large. These are large. These are the Sunset brand large black nitrile gloves. Sunset brand. I think I got these at the restaurant supply store. Larges though, those are larges, which I'm actually in this moment kind of surprised about. I would have thought that I got mediums. I'll check what the other box is. Okay, so this is now 9 minutes worth of cooking. Nine minutes, 3 cups of liquid. Let's check our consistency. How are these with their finishedness? Not quite. Another 3 to 4 minutes here. So I'm going to take the lid off here. I'm going to take the lid off and cook these with no, excuse me, so that they evaporate this liquid a little bit more. All right, that was 10 minutes. So we're at 35 total cooking minutes at the moment, which is 5 more than I want. We're going to end up at about 40 minutes total for this, which is fine in the sense of like I'm still refining it, but I don't want this to be 40 minutes all in. So there, that's better. We had a little spot on the camera. Okay. I'm going to stir basically I'm just waiting for these to finish cooking. I think 3 cups of liquid was too much. So I would say probably 2.5 cups would be better. I don't know how much liquid is left in this pan at the moment. Basically, once these are finished cooking, probably again about 15 or so minutes, I will evaluate how much liquid is left in here. Or conversely, I could do 3 cups of liquid and then just have them boil on the stove like this and cook in the pan. I don't love that. So I simmer these for 10 minutes with the lid on medium low. Uncover, cook, blank, mins more. Let's see. So I'm writing down what I did here, not necessarily what I want to have happen. So when I'm working on something like this, I can, when I write down like, hey, this is like the process that I took. If I do it that way, it's helpful and will inform the process that I want ultimately. So what I will end up doing here is saying, 2.5 cups of water, cook with the lid on for at a medium low for like 12 minutes, something of that nature. Okay. Oh, how much garlic powder did I add to that? I added a half a teaspoon. I added a teaspoon of garlic powder, I believe. Okay. Teaspoon of garlic powder. Cook the lentils. Okay, we're adding back the chicken, stirring in the tomatoes and the herbs, and then this is, once these are cooked, this is ready, pretty much ready. So what I'm doing now is just letting the liquid cook off of here a little bit. I'm going to add, again, when I add the chicken back in, it will soak some of that up. I don't want to overcook these either, so let's try these. Let's try these again. Try these again, see how we did. Okay, those are almost there. Cook-wise. They're still quite toothsome, which is very good. We like that. So I don't want to add any more liquid here, but I do want to keep stirring. Because the ones that are, I want to keep stirring and kind of shaking the pan a little bit so that everything stays in contact with the liquid. There is too much pepper in there. Sheesh. I need to, let's make some notes. Reduce pepper in lentils. So this is, I took those, I uncovered those at 10. They've now been cooking for 15 total minutes, which is 5 additional minutes. And probably another 2, and these will be ready to go. So right now, like, I can kind of pile these up, but there's still quite a bit of liquid down here. I think when I do this as a final version, I will put half a cup less liquid, because these are just about finished right now, cook-wise, but there's still too much in the pan. So reduce pepper, reduce water to 2.5 cups. Uncover, cook blank minutes more. Stirring occasionally. All right. So this is looking good. A little bit more time than I want this to take with dry, but we're cooking chicken and lentils from dry in the same pan. So this is going to be pretty good. This consistency right here is fine. My chicken will soak up maybe 1 more minute or so. But yeah, like once basically, once I can pull the spoon through the pan and see the pan just a little bit for like a moment or two, this is good to go. That's always an interesting note. I love when recipes say that, when they give that specific note, that like a spoon drawn through the pan, when cook until the liquid is slow to return when you draw a spoon through the pan. Still some liquid in here, but almost. All right. Try these lentils one more time. We're at 17 minutes for the lentils, 43 minutes total. That's way too long, which is why we're going to make this with canned lentils. But we're trying it with this. Again, I want to give directions for both. All right, those taste great though. Excuse me. Okay. And now, a lot less liquid here, and ultimately, if you're serving this immediately, you want there to be a little less. If I was going to wait, say 20 minutes before serving this, this would be fine because the water would be absorbed slowly, kind of like pasta, where it can be pretty saucy right away, and then as you let it sit, it absorbs even more. So Fluff, hello. Hello. At the water park. Amazing. I hope you're having a lovely time, safe and dry, or not dry. No, I hope you're as dry as you want to be. When I go to the water park, I don't want to get in I don't want to do anything. I just want to be there. I just want to chaperone. Okay, this is cooked, ready to go. We're gonna turn the heat off. That was 19 minutes. So that's way too long. All right, we're turning the heat off here, and I'm adding my chicken. And we're going to stir the chicken in. So again, a lot of chicken, but we want the ratio to be roughly the same amount of chicken, the same amount of lentils, the same amount of tomatoes. So today we're just working on the process and volumes, not concerning ourselves too much about the time. The next go round with this will be an actual test of a recipe that has a bit better of all of those things. Okay, so this looks good. We're pretty good here. Looking all right. We're gonna add the tomatoes in. So these are uncooked, raw grape tomatoes that have been halved and salted. So we're going to give those a stir. And then we add in our herbs. Which in this case is fresh dill, although you could use really any herb you want. Parsley, chives, and dill are all favorites of mine. I personally would add all of them, but I'm picking one today and we're adding dill. This would benefit from a splash of lemon as well, just like a little tablespoon or so of lemon juice would be delicious in here. I think that was not enough. That was definitely not enough dill. I'm gonna add maybe a teaspoon of dried dill, because I also just want to see like what does the dried dill look like when you add it in. Fresh is good, dry is fine. All right, this looks great. And as you can see, no more liquid in the pan. That was the goal. fully cooked lentils, no liquid remaining. It will soak in. I think that there's too much chicken in here. That's my kind of general feedback. Too much chicken, but I think it looks good overall. I'm going to come on over to the counter and I'll show you that on the big camera. And then we're going to try it. Obviously, we want to try it. All right, this is our warm lentil tomato salad. And this is, I say salad, this is definitely more chicken than lentils in here. So the ratio is a little off. But I'm happy with like the process and timing. I do think I would probably add, let's say, a cup and a half of lentils. If you're doing this much chicken, then a cup and a half of lentils. Let's put a little in a bowl and try it. Wow, guys, we heard. It is a sad day. Not just for Dolly Parton fans. For fans of good people. Where am I here? There it is. Okay. Let me wipe your lens. Hey, if you're taking pictures with your phone, wipe your camera lens. Wipe your lens. It's not hard. It makes your photos look better. It literally makes your photos look better. Just wipe your lens. You probably touch it with your fingers all the time, and then you go to take pictures, and it's like you're taking pictures with a potato. Beth, welcome in. Look at that number. What a good number. We like that number. That is 100. That is 100 check-ins. That was 100 check-ins. Pretty solid. Hold on. 100 check-ins doesn't get you anything specific, but it will get you confetti. Would you like some confetti? We have some. All right. This is a fork situation. Okay. And then, yeah, we got a picture of the bowl. Try this. So what are we tasting for? Seasonings, balance, texture. Take my microphone off my hat. Sure, says Kanar might do a Dolly recipe. Yeah, Dolly Parton most definitely has a cookbook, right? There's no way there's not a Dolly Parton cookbook. That's pretty good. I'm a fan. If you're selling cookware, you also have to have a cookbook. Is there any named chef that has a line of cookware but not a cookbook? You can get branded cast iron pans from a lot of places. I feel like that's a thing. I saw, I was at a cabin one time, and they had a Pioneer Woman branded cast iron skillet. Babish. You know what's wild? I remember watching his channel when he first started. It's so fascinating to see like people who've kind of taken a theme and run with it. Like he used to be completely faceless. It's fascinating. And now it's like an empire. That was pretty good. I think I have some work to do on this one. Obviously. The things that I liked about that, it was seasoned well enough. Ultimately, the pepper wasn't an issue with the lentils. It only seemed like an issue when I was eating it. The balance of chicken and lentils is off. There is too much chicken and not enough lentil in here, which is totally easily adjustable. I'm eating more of it, so like that tells me a lot. More dill, like a lot more dill, like at least double the herbs, like a quarter cup of herbs minimum. It was really conservative. That one I'm writing down. So I need more lentils. If I add more lentils, though, I don't need to reduce the water. Reduce water or add more lentils. And then I want to make some adjustments with the covering, the heating and the timing of the lentil cooking for dry lentils. I think that's going to be important to get right, so that it's a lot less time. Because that took like 19 minutes for the lentils to cook. It should not take that long. So I'm going to change that process up a little bit. But otherwise, very happy with this. Chicken cooked quickly. Having it in the same pan is great. I don't have any cleanup. It's just this. I mean, I have cleanup from all the little bowls and stuff, but if I was just following a recipe, I'd have left it all on a cutting board, and I'd have had, a cutting board and a pan to clean up. And if you use dried herbs, you don't even need a cutting board. So, all right. That's pretty good. I'm happy. I'm going to put the leftovers in quart container and pop those right in the fridge because we'll have that for dinner. I realized I was talking over there and that maybe you couldn't hear me because the microphone was on the counter. Now, when I test this again on Thursday, what we're going to do is I'm going to test it this way, and then we'll try it. I'm going to test it again with the canned lentils because I'm pretty certain that the canned lentils are a lot easier. I mean, I know that they're a lot easier. I need to quantify how much easier they are via time and effort. I also would like to determine what the ratio is between canned lentils and dried lentils. Like how many cups or what volume of dry lentil is equivalent to the amount of cooked, finished, edible lentils that come in a can. Now, I don't have the answer to that. So that is something that that I need to figure out as well. But that was overall pretty good. And then we have, let's see. I don't know what I just made there. I think when I measure this, when we do this again, I will determine sort of the portion size here. Because what I have is, let's see, 4, 6, maybe 7 cups worth of food, which is quite a bit, honestly. But again, there's more chicken than I needed. And we need to get the balance of things right. But overall, I'm happy with the way that this turned out. Taste-wise and process-wise is pretty easy. So we will recalibrate. I'm going to write this up as a like formal step by step with actual notes and specifics on it. And then we'll test this again probably Thursday, along with a bunch of other stuff. So today is I might even test this again today if I'm like really inclined to do so, because I'll eat this whole thing. This is easily like, I would definitely eat this whole thing. Not a problem. But I don't really want to do that, and we have some leftovers in the fridge already. So let's put this pan in the sink to soak. And make some final notes on this one. Yeah, I'll make some final notes on this one before moving to the next. And the next one is even easier than that, or at least it's designed to be. My idea is that it is, if you're following the recipe and have all your ingredients out, that it should take about 5 to 10 minutes, maybe, max. So we'll see. It'll probably take me longer. I'm sure it'll take me longer. I know it'll take me longer because I'm going to be like measuring things and whatnot. Now let me rinse off the teaspoon here with a half teaspoon, because I'm going to use that again for salt and pepper. This bowl can just go right in the sink or right on the drying rack because it just had water in it. Same thing with the measuring cup. Beautiful. Okay. So that was the chicken and lentil salad. Calling it a salad because it's not like a stew. It's not liquidy. It's not really, I don't really know what else to call it. It is like a rice and beans kind of consistency where like things sort of stick together. That sort of consistency. So I don't know if there's a formal term for that kind of consistency. Like rice pudding, similar consistency to that. So I know it's not a pudding because that sounds off-putting. When you call it a tomato lentil chicken pudding. No. Unsavory, no thank you. But yeah, it's almost like a rice and beans consistency, or it's like a little starchy. Which is what you get when you cook the lentils in the pan and then you don't drain them or anything. So I think that if I used canned lentils, it'll be less of a sort of sticky consistency also because they're already cooked and I don't need to do anything else. They don't cook down. There's no additional starch in there. Anyway, fresh herbs, 8 sprigs, 1.5 tablespoons. So definitely need more herbs. I think that's about it. I have a note about the olive oil. I use 2 tablespoons of that. Chicken. Okay. Preheat, season. Yup. Chicken out. Turn to high. All of that was done. This is where I added the garlic powder and great. Okay. So these took the lentils on the package say they take 15 to 20 minutes to cook. They took me 29 minutes to cook, which is too much. Far too much. So there is definitely a the other difference is that the package says to put them in simmer gently with the lid tilted until desired tenderness is reached, about 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, so simmer gently. So I need to cook these at a higher
temperature with the lid tilted gently. I put the lid fully on, and that's why there was still a lot of water in there. If I do that, I'll end up evaporating more water and cooking them quicker because it'll hold the heat in. Okay, so okay, good. We have some good, easier next steps here to go off of. So I didn't write the title on here. Chicken and lentil salad. And this is version 1. Great. All right. Total time start to finish between the moment I started cooking and right now is 1 hour and 2 minutes. So that's great. We are ahead of schedule for what I was expecting to be doing today, for what I am expecting, for what I am doing on stream today. I'm not expecting, I'm doing it. We're actually here. I'm doing the thing. Let's look at this next recipe. So this one is meant to be, actually, hold on. Let me move these lentils to the side because they're otherwise very close at hand, and I don't want them to be that close. All right, so this next recipe is for an even easier salad. This is a Brussels sprout apple salad with lemon and Parmesan. Very straightforward. The goal of this is that it is easy and quick. For the Brussels sprouts and the apple, we're shredding both of them essentially. So I want to try to shred the apple on a box grater and see what that consistency is like. I think my sense is that it is probably not the right consistency, that it's going to be too pulpy. It's going to break it down too much. I think that the food processor might be a little better at that with the spinning shredder grate. Ultimately, I think the best version of this would be cutting the apples by hand, because they will, when you cut them with a knife, they don't rip. They stay sort of like nice. I want to see if there is a balance though. If they're fine on the box grater and they take less time, like if you don't have a food processor, obviously that's not an option for you. So, I think the food processor and the box grater are going to be like the same thing, and the cutting would be better, but I think we'll determine that. The only other note here is that I have shredded Brussels sprouts and a bag of regular Brussels sprouts, meaning pre-shredded, a bag of pre-shredded Brussels sprouts. So we're going to try them with both. What I want to do is determine how many whole Brussels sprouts equal the 9 ounces of shredded Brussels sprouts in the bag. That's the other thing that I want to do with this. So while this recipe ultimately will be very quick to make for the end consumer, I'm going to overcomplicate it while we're writing it so that I know the details and can be like, hey, if you use a box grater here, like it'll be fine and blah, blah, blah. And why not try it this way instead? That type of thing. Anyway, okay. So let's just try basically before I determine the volume of apples, because I think the volume of apple is going to be 1 medium apple. Like I don't see a world in where I'd use 2 of these, and I really don't love using half of something either. So I think 1 medium apple is sort of the way to go. But we're going to try it a couple of different ways and just see again which one is best. So let's get the box grader out. This is the one. And the other option, I guess is an option, would be a mandolin. But I don't, again, I feel like I personally, and correct me if I'm wrong, if y'all have thoughts around this, like please share. I think that more people have a food processor than own a mandolin. And I think that more people own a box grater than a food processor. And certainly more people own at least one kitchen knife than own a box grater. So I think mandolin is like the least accessible tool that you could use to do this with. And the cutting it by hand is the most accessible. That's kind of where my assumptions lie. So we're going to try it on a box grater first and just see how that works, because I think that's probably the middle ground. That's my sense is that's the middle ground, meaning most people probably have some sort of grater, either box grater or either a box or one of these paddle graters. But I think what we'll do is I'm just gonna shred this from the bottom, like just without slicing it, because I don't think you actually really need to slice an apple. You just have to make sure you pick the seeds out at the end. Because when you cut it and eat it from the bottom straight through, you don't really get the core. Took the final anti-allergy meds. Scared for a number of reasons here today, Bellis. Good luck. I hope that you have all of the results that you need or want. That is a lot to sort of carry into the day. I hope things turn out well for you. I've also been doing okay without a mandolin. I have one, but it's just in a box down under the counter that I rarely use. Okay. Let's just try it. See how this works. Should be okay. Well, that's nothing. That's something. Well, it's a little hard to get these last pieces, so maybe we won't. Okay. See how that turned out. Well, pick out the seed, pick out the stems, pick out the seeds. That's pretty good. I mean, the consistency of this is decent. It's wet. It's wet and sort of pulpy. And so I wonder how this would be. Well, it's good though. It's very good. That's your consistency there. It's fascinating. Yeah, wet and pulpy. So this is definitely different than cutting it with a knife. I mean, look at the liquid that just came off this. Look at that. That doesn't happen when you chop apples with a knife. Like that literally, that does not happen. So big difference. That's going to happen in the food processor too. So I do think what I would say is if you're going to use a box grater with this, to maybe assemble this in a colander. I think that might be their ideal scenario. Assemble it in a colander because then it'll sort of drain. Either assemble it in a colander or dry it with a towel. I'm gonna put this in a colander. I'm also curious how much liquid comes off of here. Kathy, welcome in. Hello. Happy Tuesday. We're figuring out recipe stuff today. We're working on writing some recipes. So let's not get the seeds in there. Timmy, welcome in. Happy Tuesday. All right. So I think that was quick. The thing is, that was super quick. And I definitely love the expedience of that. I don't love how liquidy this is. So let's cut it. Let's cut it. I'm gonna cut one too and see how we do. Okay. Why don't you take Calvin's with you and see if they'll let you?
I'm taking it.
Okay. Cool. Sounds good.
I'm gonna go in and be like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah. This is a check written to a child who does not have an account. Yeah. They might need him to sign it. Yeah. And to me says they say the first check-in is the hardest. It is. Congratulations. We've broken the seal. We broke the seal. Let me see. I also want to try to do that with, so I just rinsed this off because I want to try to do a Brussels sprout on here too. We're just trying a couple things here to sort of strike the balance between expedient and safe and also useful. Like, I think these apples look good. Again, a lot of liquid coming off of here. I didn't salt them or anything. It's just how it is. Because of the shredding process sort of rips them apart, they give up more liquid. But could be fine. Could be fine. That was a medium-sized apple, as I would call it. I don't know how much volume is here. Let me actually get my measuring cup and help determine that. Need to rinse this out. Okay. Now I know that I already ate a little bit of this. I already I've sort of migrated this vessel to vessel to vessel. But we're going to do it again for the sake of science.
It's science.
It is science. Thank you. I just need to determine what the volume of this is, and I'll add, a quarter cup if I need to. And then we'll give a weight to it when we put it back in this bowl. Okay, so that is about a cup, a little more than a cup of shredded apple. I'm just going to put this back in the colander. And I have my scale. I did the tare on my scale. And there's 125 grams of apple, 4.4 ounces. Okay. I think I want more apple than that, but let's see, 1 cup, 4.4 ounces, 125 grams. On the box grater, it is liquidy, pulpy, and soft. So let's get out the food processor, and we're going to try an apple in the food processor with the plate on it in a few moments, actually. Let me get I'm going to try a Brussels sprout first here, though, before I do that. Wipe my cutting board down. It has a lot of apple juice on it. All right. Beautiful. Again, this is all a lot of overkill. So, you wouldn't do any of this. You wouldn't do any of this if you were just making this recipe from the recipe. But I'm just trying to determine the best way to do this. I've always used my knife and cut the apple and cut the Brussels sprouts. Now this, I can tell you pretty clearly, is not really working and is definitely not faster than cutting this with a knife. Like I could cut a Brussels sprout bit quicker than doing this on the box grater. That was not necessary, and that was like a little too much. And also the consistency of this is not great. This is like a mushy sort of coleslaw, like thin cut coleslaw type of situation. I'm not into this. We're good. We're going to try the box grater, and we're going to try it two ways. We're going to try the two different plates on the box grater. And I'm not going to add this in. I'm going to put this in the compost because this is a little less than ideal. Yeah. Now, to be fair, can I cut a Brussels sprout faster than I did? Let's see. Take the leaves off. We slice. Yes. Yes, I can. Yeah, and this is a much better consistency. These are ribbons. They're solid. They're not liquidy at all. I think that's pretty good. The apple, way quicker on the box grater. Way quicker, but less texturally friendly. Cyber says, did you try the food processor? Not yet. I'm about to. I'm getting it out. We're just doing a little bit of science here. To sort of determine the best case scenario. So ultimately for this recipe, the recipe as it is written is going to say use a knife because I want you to use a knife. What I'm doing right now is saying basically like determining, okay, is the food processor an option? Is the food processor better than using a box grater? That's it. Or rather, is the box grater an option? And at the moment, it kind of isn't, because the consistency of that is not great. All right, where are my spinning plates? Here they are. Yes, we have a grating plate and a slicing plate. I think the slicing plate is probably going to be a bit too much. These are like big slices. This is for like tomatoes or potatoes. So I think we're going to try and stick with the grating plate and see how that does as compared to the box grater. We're going to try a Brussels sprout. We're going to try an apple. And then we'll figure out from there if we want to say yes to this or not. As I said, ultimately this recipe is going to say to cut these by hand, because that's going to make them that's going to give them the best texture. But if this is acceptable, then go for it. But if you don't have one, I don't want to like lock someone into feeling like they need a food processor to do this. That's never what I want. So let's start with the Brussels sprouts, because that is the one that's right here and easily comparable. So we're gonna I can just fit this thing in here whole, right? Yes, I can. Great. On. And let's see what happens. Okay, that is fine. Better than the box grater. But still, that is an inconsistent grate. So what we have is a bunch of like big pieces and a bunch of little pieces. Definitely better than the box grater. Not as good as the knife. And Trinderella, I'm kind of with you. Like, I'd probably do this. I'd probably rather do this by hand, because when I dump this out and sort of look, right? Like, let's do a side-by-side comparison here, okay? The ones on your... The ones closer to you are by hand. So these are by hand. And then these are the box grater. So there's not a ton of difference. These are definitely, the box grater cuts things a little smaller. These are ribbons. All right. There's no ribbons in here. They're just chunks. I don't love it. I don't love it, but I don't like hate it. I don't like the box grater. I'll say that. It did not work. It was liquidy. The box grater just kind of shreds everything. So it is what it is. Teddy Whitey's welcome in. Cabbage cast off. Exactly, $20. But counterpoint, right? This is what they sell in the store. Shaved Brussels sprouts. And that also looks awful. Looks slightly better. But like, these are not great either. I do think that ultimately I want, like, yeah, you really should be doing this by hand. Let's put an apple through here and just see. Because I feel like the apple might do better in the food processor than the Brussels sprouts. So we're going to try an apple in here too. Yeah, it does. It does look like cast-offs though. I mean, what are Brussels sprouts if not miniature cabbages? All right, let's just shove half an apple through here, and see what see what happens. Okay, ready? Come with me, and you'll see. Damn. Apple on the top is like, nah, I'm good. What are we doing? Come on, get through there. Nope. Okay. Well, that is better than the box grater for sure. These look like little apple sticks. So come on in here. That looks like little apple sticks. Now, that piece of skin, definitely annoying. The pulpy residue kind of all around the top here, that's like liquidy. And I can see there's more liquid just in here. So, as we sort of determined earlier, the goal is to figure out a hierarchy. I think my hierarchy is don't use the box grater. If you're going to use a tool, feel free to use a food processor. At least it's quick. And this isn't bad. These little apple shavings are not terrible. Tastes like apples. But overall, all of these things are not great in comparison to doing this by hand. So, you know, as much as I want to make things super efficient, at least we're only using one cutting board. Okay. What I will also say is, let me actually like write down some of these notes that I just said out loud. Let me move this out of the way first. Okay. Okay. Time check. 15:09. All right. Good. Calvin should be home from school within the next hour. We have karate tonight. I have no idea what dinner is. Dinner is going to be leftovers, I think. We got, oh no. Yeah, dinner is going to be the salad that I literally just made. Okay, so I'm putting the food processor in the sink here. Let's just get that in. All right, notes. Knife is greater than food processor is greater than box grater. The only other thing that I didn't try was the mandolin. But y'all, I don't think I want to try the mandolin. Like, I'm not gonna lie. The mandolin is sort of is a thing that I don't need people breaking out the mandolin to slice up individual Brussels sprouts. I feel like that's just if you're gonna do it that way, just like do it with a knife. Like, I don't know. Maybe that makes me awful, but I don't care. Okay, the other thing that I would say is if you're using a grater to drain apples,
because they are more liquidy than if you slice them by hand. And we have a lot of liquid in here. I mean, there's like apple juice in here. Ooh, that's so good though. Oh my God. Oh, now I want apple juice like real bad. Like real apple juice. Like a whole jug of it kind of apple juice. I don't have any, and that's annoying. Okay. But I am putting all this in a bowl because I need a bigger bowl for this. I'll eat that. I know we're testing things, but that's a whole pile of apple and Brussels sprout. I'll definitely eat this. Okay. But let's figure out sort of the now we've done a little sciencing of how to cut these things. I think what we actually need to do is figure out the volume of Brussels sprouts that I want, the actual volume of Brussels sprouts, the actual volume of apples. So we're going to start with the apple because I want the ratio to be about right. And if we start with the apple, I know I have enough Brussels sprouts here. Like, I'm not going to use all of these. This is a pound of Brussels sprouts. I think this is more than a pound. So we're going to actually start and cut up an apple. Not that one. And see how much volume that is. And I think I want to do this in my glass bowl. Fellas, good luck out there. Good luck out there. We're going to do this in my glass bowl. Let's get a tare weight on here. Tare weight is 1,374 grams. So 1,374 is glass tare. Okay. Just need to write that down because the scale might go off. All right. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure this out into this cup first because this is a cup measure. This has a cup measure on it too, but it's also like a big bowl. It's harder to see when you've reached an actual cup versus when you're at like, you know, a cup and a quarter. They look very similar when you have a volume that is 8+ cups, you know? Hell yeah, new dishwasher day. Or not today. New dishwasher approval day. Good. Now you can start harassing them for when it will arrive. Is it here yet? How about now? How about now? How about now? Okay, so what I want ultimately is for matchsticks here. So we're cutting the app. Yeah. Cutting the apple into matchsticks. Yeah, did you get it yet? Is it here yet? How about now? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? I don't know the proper way of cutting an apple into matchsticks. I just know how I do it. So I don't know if this is right or not, but it works for me. And ultimately, this is I like doing this by hand for this specific recipe is better for a couple reasons. One, the primary reason is that it's consistent, like consistent size. If you're okay at using a knife, you can get everything relatively the same size. The secondary reason, and possibly more important, is that it retains the liquid within the apple. It doesn't rip and shred. So all of the apple pieces
stay like crisp and have a nice texture to them. So that was two reasons. Although it is slower. Like, you know, I did this on the box grater in 20 seconds, maybe. And to hand cut one, possibly two apples, certainly is demonstrably longer. But I think it's worth the little extra effort that you need to go through to make that happen. So this is going to end up being a cup or so. A little more than a cup. It's about a cup right now. So I think what I will say with this recipe is I'm going to get about a cup of apples and then a cup or so, the same volume of Brussels sprouts. And then if it needs to be more, and I'll say this basically like this serves two, is my thought. So we have about a cup worth of apples. That's 153 grams. Which is just about right with what we had from the shredded apple. So that was 4.4. This is 5.4 ounces. Knife cut is 153 grams. 5.4 ounces. And then that was like a cup and a quarter. And then these are crisp and firm and dry. The ones from the processor were soft sticks. Great. Just having a little notes here. We'll keeping some little notes going. Okay. Let's cut the Brussels sprouts to the same volume, basically. That's the goal. Same volume of Brussels sprouts, about 150 or so grams. And then that's it. Those are the two big ingredients. So we are cutting and we'll measure. Now with the Brussels, it's actually better when you're cutting them like this to not take the stem off, because then you have somewhere to hold. Kathy, yes. The goal of what we're making today is that this is relatively quick salad. You don't need to cook anything. That it's, you know, a little bit of work, but overall, like, pretty straightforward. Three main ingredients plus a dressing. So that was 1, 2, counting the number of Brussels sprouts too. So that was 2 Brussels sprouts. Now, what we did, so kind of quick throw together, you know, the quick throw together comment, is that I was trying these on the box grater and in the food processor to see if the consistency of their cuts was worth the convenience.
And my determination is that it is not. That they don't have the same like firmness and structural integrity that they do when you cut them. Okay, so that's about a cup of Brussels sprouts. That is 64 grams. So that was 3 Brussels sprouts. Let's do 3 more. That's 1. And the other option here that I'm definitely going to give is to use bagged Brussels sprouts. The bagged ones have they're sliced, so they are they're not kind of the ideal size and shape, but again, convenience, they are far more convenient than anything I'm doing. So this is, they're probably ultimately the preferred option here. Yeah, Kathy, I'm with you. The more dishes you make, the worse it is. So if I would never call for like one of these to be in the food processor and the other one to be cut. You know, that's also not an option. So that was 6 Brussels sprouts, 125 grams, 4.4 ounces. What I really think is that I want to have this be about 9 ounces per thing. So that was 4.5. That was 6. So let's see how much we get to when we get to 12. Because here's my thinking. This bag of shaved Brussels sprouts is 9 ounces. So I want to give the equivalency so that you can use a pack or your own Brussels sprouts. 9 ounces, a half a pound of Brussels sprouts, right? So let's do, that was 2 cups. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm keeping the Brussels sprout pieces on the counter back here so I know how much. Basically 3 Brussels sprouts is a cup. So we can just do that because it's been a cup twice now. So we're just going to do this by weight until we get to the 9 ounce mark. No, we're not. We're going to keep putting them in the cup because my sense of completist, my sense of completion will not let me do it the other way. The pouch screams homemade. That's interesting. You don't have just like regular standard lentils, like dry lentils. It is always fascinating what you can and can't get in specific places. Do you all remember me complaining about corn silk tea at some point? We were like, I was talking to, I was making corn tiramisu. So that was 3 cups, 7 ounces.
So let's do 3.5 cups. Anyway, my point about the corn tiramisu was that, or not corn, the corn silk tea. Where was I recently? I forget where I was. But it was like a small grocery store, and the owner is Korean, and they had like 3 different types of just bottled corn silk tea. Like different, like 3 different brands of the same thing. And I was like, all right, now I know where to go. I forget where I was, of course. That's a half a cup, 8 1/4. So 1 more Brussels sprout. 1, 2. That should be about 1 ounce. And that is 3, 6, 9, 12 Brussels sprouts. Yeah, 9.1 ounces. Perfect. Okay, so that's the right amount of Brussels sprouts. Now I had 5.4 ounces of apple in here. So hold on. For the Brussels, we had 9 ounces, 2, 3, about 4 cups, 258 grams. That's approximately 3, 6, 9, 12 large Brussels. Okay, perfect. They take your dry lentils take 1.5 hours to cook. Are they? I'm assuming that's because they're very dry. That they've like the drier the like. I know that with beans, the older the beans are, the longer they take. The less hydration they have, the longer they are. Okay, so I had 5.4 ounces. So I want to get up to 9 ounces of apple too, because again, I just want the ratio to be correct. So I'm cutting up the other half of our first experimental apple, and it might be a scenario where we say, 1 large apple or 2 medium, 3 small, something like that. We'll see how many ounces we're at when we hit this half. I'm imagining we'll be somewhere around 7 or so. Well, I'm not going to be around 7. I teared my scale, but 5.4 plus 2.4 is 5.8, 6.8, 7.8 ounces. That's fine. I think apples are denser. Yeah, I'll just 7 to 10 ounces of both. The ratio is sort of whatever you prefer. Um, 7.8 ounces is 125 plus 68, 60, 70, 80, 88, 93, 193. Okay. Sorry, that's like 2 cups of apples. It's about what I've got in here. And then 193. Okay, cool. Okay, so this is my salad base. I have 2 basic ingredients in here. I have apples and shredded Brussels sprouts. So I'm going to go ahead and give these a shake. kind of mix everything together. Now you could stir these, but obviously I've got a lid for the bowl, so why not do it that way? And then we're going to add a little dressing to this. So the dressing is minimal and light. Minimal and light. It is 1 lemon. You zest the lemon, and then you cut the lemon and juice it. And you use the juice and the zest, and you put both of them in there, and that is it. Salt and pepper, obviously you stir the thing together. Zest of 1 lemon is going to be measured into a tablespoon. And the juice, we just want to pick the seeds out. We want to include the pulp because why not? No reason not to, really. But we're going to zest all the lemons. You zest the lemon every single time you use a lemon, no matter whether or not you're using the zest. And why aren't you using the zest? You should use the zest. Okay, this is about a tablespoon of lemon zest. Yeah, just about. Maybe I'll just mix that in with the juice. I'm going to mix this together in a small glass bowl. So we're going to add the zest first. And we'll add the salt and pepper to the dressing. But then we'll add more salt and pepper at the end. And we'll account for all of it. Okay, the juice of the lemon is going to be about three tablespoons or so. Usually that is the volume. I'm going to juice this into a bowl. Now, again, I'm using a lot of dishes because I'm just trying to measure all my individual ingredients, not because you need to do this. You do need to juice the lemon into a separate receptacle and then have mix things together. You don't want to juice the lemon directly into your produce mixture because then you'll get seeds in it. You definitely don't want that. Lemon zest lemonade. Yeah, exactly. Kind of. You can make a lemonade out of the squeezed rinds here. There's always a little more juice in the thing. Oh, I just found that really small cut on my hand. Oh, damn, that hurt. Damn, that hurt. I cut myself on a can yesterday. Not bad. I caught myself, but bad enough that it hurts. Damn. Lemon juice is gonna get you. Okay. I am gonna drain this because there's a lot of seeds in here. So I said I wasn't, but I am. That's okay. So this was 71 grams, 2.5 ounces undrained. And then we'll figure out exactly how many ounces this is drained. Two ounces. That's 1/8 of a cup.
and that's plenty. So the juice of 1 lemon. So lemon juice is 2 ounces, 60 grams, 1/8 of a cup. Wait, no, yeah, 2 ounces is a 1/4 cup. My bad. I was thinking of something else. I was thinking, hold on. I was thinking of the wrong number. So I was thinking of. Okay, that's good. So we have our zest, we have our lemon juice. Inexplicably, we have a seed in here. It's not inexplicable. It was in with the zest. It was hiding. There it is. Ah, hops back in. Come on. There we go. Okay. Got our juice, got our zest. Let's, what else do I have? Olive oil. Parmesan is the other thing in here. So before I do the rest of the olive oil in here and dress this, I need to get out a thing of Parmesan and cut some of that. Although, you know what I actually want to use for this? Y'all are going to be like, Lou, what's your problem? That is, you're weird. You'll never do that. What's wrong with you? I'm going to use shaky cheese. Do you know what I mean when I say shaky cheese? The like sawdust Parmesan. Is it as good? No. No. No, it's not. But I know that regular Parmesan would be very good in here. And if I have shaky cheese. Hold on. Hold on. We might have had decisions might have been made for us here. Oh man, I feel like Gwen. She's always digging through the fridge and being like, "Where's the shaky cheese? Damn it." No, it's just the salt. Ah, there it is. Okay. I was going to say, it's this. Frightened cheese. This. The grated Parmesan made with real cheese, among other things. I'm going to use this. I don't love this, but it's easy and cheap, less expensive. So I am going for easy and cheap in this particular recipe. Like apples are not terrifically expensive. Brussels sprouts are the most expensive aspect of this. Actually, no, the lemon is probably the most expensive aspect of this. Anyway, what I think I'm going to do is use this, and then I will just say, like, if you have regular cheese, if you have a thing of Parmesan, that would be better, which I do. Yeah, Kathy says after chopping apples in Brussels, we're not shredding our own cheese. See, the thing is, this is already shredded. And yeah, I'm a little like, I think you should probably buy like a thing of Parmesan cheese and like do that. But a couple things. This is already done, and I can just put it in a measuring cup and dump it in, and it's easy. I don't have to dirty another dish. I don't have to buy a block of Parmesan. That's like my reasoning. I'm with you though, Kathy. Like emotionally, I am with you in the way of of course, a block of Parmesan cheese, freshly grated, would make this better. Of course it would. No question. Zero questions. But I feel like I just want to I want to try it with this and see what happens. Right? Um, so yeah, it's kind of where I'm at. It's probably cheese something else. It is. I mean, the other ingredients in here, Parmesan cheese, powdered cellulose to prevent caking. Yeah. What's the ratio? At least the cheese comes first. Contains milk. Good. It's cheese. Should. D gamers, amazing. Congrats on your reemergence into the Wi-Fi world. Chicken, hello. Only downside to bagged and pre-shredded is the cellulose. Right. If you're not making a bechamel, you should be all Gucci. Yes, this is true, and we're not heating this up, so we're good. I just see the thing. The thing is that I'm like emotionally, I'm terrified that I just spilled all my freshly squeezed lemon juice. Anyway, I know that if you've hung out here for any amount of time on this channel, even the past 5 minutes, if nothing else, you know that I would prefer using regular Parmesan here. I am working on a recipe. This is a recipe that I pitched as a super easy, relatively quick salad that you can bring to an event, like a holiday thing. Someone's like, hey, like, we're having this party, and you're like, oh, you need me to bring anything? And they actually say yes. And they ask for a food. Like, yeah, if someone asks you if they need to bring anything, you tell them ice. You tell them ice, and you tell 6 people they need to bring ice. And if 3 of them bring it, you are doing way better than most. Anyway, I digress. If you only ask one person to bring ice to your party, ask your literal most reliable friend. The ice is way more important. Anyway, I would always prefer regular cheese. I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible. I was trying and hoping that the box grater would be an acceptable substitution for a knife for the apples. It's not, nor is it for the Brussels sprouts. The food processor, not that much better, honestly. It's pulpy and the sizing is all off. So I've already sort of done more with this than I wanted to, which is to say I'm already requiring you to get a cutting board and knife and cut things, several things, into small pieces. That's a lot. You know, when people were like, if it says like, get out a small dice and onion, I don't want to do it. Like, exactly. So I'm going to try it with this cheese because I think this will be fine. Will it be better than the Parmesan? No. And no one is going to claim that it is. I'm not going to claim that it is. But it'll certainly be faster. I wish dinner parties were more involved. I wish I had dinner parties. I would love to have dinner parties. That'd be fun. I was talking to someone the other day about how they used to have spaghetti Fridays with, and this was like back in the day, like back in the day of like inviting people over your house off of Twitter or like Instagram when you like could do that and it was not weird. I don't know. I used to invite people off Twitter to my literal house. I would DM them my address and be like, come over. We're having people over. Like, we're just hanging out and like drinking and whatever. Like, you seem cool. We've been chatting back and forth, you know? So, anyway, probably shouldn't do that anymore. But this is, they were saying about how they used to have parties, and I was like, that sounds like spaghetti things, and that sounds like such a good idea. I love it. I like want to do more of that. I'd love to do that. Soda cups guy at the office, right? Totally. Yeah, and that's also reliable. Cups, plates, cups and plates, and ice, like very important. Napkins, not as important. Utensils, not even as important.
All right. We are at 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 is on the scale. Ari Grandy, hello. My friends and I used to do soup overs. Soup overs. Is that where you all bring a soup and stay over? Is that where you? What is the nature of the soup over? One, that sounds lovely, regardless of the answer. Two, your name is really funny. Caretaker says, I don't think I would invite randos to my home, but I would invite people on Twitch to a park for a barbecue or picnic or water park party. I don't think I would do that anymore. I think I have in the past, and I think it's just like a different internet environment too. I think this was, what year was this? This was 2011, maybe 12 or so, when it wasn't quite as odd to be like, hey, like to have these sort of friendly I met you on the internet relationships with people. Also, like, functionally, I was friends with a lot of folks who were on Twitter specifically back when it was good in the day, and we all like used our real names because you did that. That wasn't odd then. Like, I wouldn't advise anyone to do that now. Just as a regular person, if you're a public figure in some capacity, like, seems totally fine. But yeah, I wouldn't just like as a rando person out in the world do that anymore. I did then. So people could already like look me up. All right, so we're adding 1/8 of a cup of olive oil. So 2 parts lemon juice, 1 part olive oil. And we're going to stir until this is like combined. And I'm going to add salt and pepper to this as well. Ariola says you bring soup and watch movies all night. One time everyone brought exceptionally salty ramen and we were in comas in an hour. That's when your spreadsheet friend is like, excuse me, we're gonna plan this out. And everybody is like, thank you, spreadsheet friend. It's me, I'm the spreadsheet friend. Generally speaking. Making sure that there's a little bit of ramen, but also a little bit of borscht. And a little bit of like something spicy, something salty. All right, I'm going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, speaking of salt. And let's do a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. So let's write those things down. Olive oil was 1/8 of a cup. Salt was 1/2 teaspoon, and then 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. Okay, in a small bowl, whisk together the lemon juice, olive oil, salt, and pepper until well combined. Now, again, keeping it simple, this is all we're doing. If I was making this only slightly more complicated, only slightly, I would add a little bit of mustard to this. I would add a little bit of vinegar to this. I still think you should add those things, but we're trying to keep the ingredients to as minimal as possible. So we're not emulsifying this per se. We're just making sure that it stays mixed. And then I'm going to add the cheese last here. I'm going to start with 1/8 of a cup of cheese and mix that in. Do I have a smaller cup measure? I know I've got this one. I'll just use this one. This one had oil in it. I'm just going to rinse it out. and reuse that same cup measure. All right, beautiful. Perfect. Yeah, Shoma, I definitely agree with you. Acid to Brussels sprouts or cruciferous veggie makes them 30% better. And I mean, we have lemon juice in here, so we're don't get me wrong, we've got a decent acid in here. I would want a little bit of something like a mustard or something to kind of tie it together, help bind it together. But I think the lemon is going to make it fine. That's my professional opinion. Because I've made this before. This is just like a very common we're having like we have some greens left over in the fridge, like let's put a quick dressing on them. Like this is a very normal like dressing I've made 100 times, more than 100 times. Okay, so we're going to add this in. Now, what I would say is if you are bringing this to a party or you are not eating it immediately, don't dress it. Put the dressing in a little container and save it. And then right before you serve it, that's when you dress it. But that's true of basically all salads. So this is pretty good here. I'm going to take a fork and get a little taste. Great. Oh, very good. Okay, I'm going to go in with the Parmesan here. Now, I want to note this is fresh Parmesan. I opened this on stream today.
Hello.
What's up? My son is home.
Doing my Duolingo. Hold on.
He's here. He walked in with his face in his phone, but he wants me to know that he's doing his Duolingo.
Yeah.
So, that's good. Okay, so we added cheese. I'm going to add more. That wasn't... I don't know where that went. So, I'm going to add some more. There was an eighth of a cup. Should have done that by weight. There we go. There's another eighth. So we just added a quarter cup of Parmesan shaky cheese. And now let's try this again. Fudge Darling, welcome in. Happy Tuesday. I almost just said Thursday. That would not be accurate. So this looks pretty good. I mean, this is like this is your serving here. Not serving. This is like a full-on volume. Let's take a look. Hold on. I just want to see what the final volume is. What the final volume of this here is. Six cups. Come down here. I want to give you a little snack. I heard you say you make plans. I'm going to hand you a little snack, and then you're going to take it with you. Okay?
Yeah.
Here. Wait.
What are those?
Dried cranberries.
Okay.
There. Bye.
Thank you. I don't know if goodbye on stream.
Caretaker says somebody may need a haircut before school starts. It's me. He got a haircut last week.
And school started yesterday. We're keeping it a little long because we have plans. I say we. He's keeping it a little long because he has plans for it to get it dyed, and we don't want to cut it too short before the dyeing. Well, I'm really happy with this.
It's really good. Flavor is also making it better.
Seal of approval. He just said it's really good.
I like the cheese, whatever that is.
You like the cheese? Hey, that's what's up. All right, so serving size of this about a cup. So I have 6. And this is like a good volume. 6 cups is a pretty good volume to like bring somewhere if you were like going to bring this to a party. Because it's like enough that everyone can get, you know, if you have 10 people, everyone can get like a little bit. And you won't have too much in the way of leftovers. But this is good. I'm really like, I took a lot of notes, obviously. I'm going to consolidate a lot of these directions. Like, I'm not going to, you know, you're not going to measure the app. You're just going to cut the apples and put them into a big bowl. Like, this is one of those recipes that, you know, calls for 2 apples of any size, really. And if you have more apples in your salad, okay. He's already back in school. Yeah, we started school yesterday. Yesterday was the first day of school. Today's the second. So he's got the school year ahead of him. Yeah, not snacking is not optional. Well, see what happens is trauma. He's like, I got plans. Meaning, I'm gonna go on my iPad and like talk to my friends while we all play Roblox together, which is fine. Are they going to talk about anything meaningful? Probably not. Are they going to ask each other questions about life or any of that? No, not at all. They're just going to be like, come over here, do this thing, shoot this thing, play this game, meet me here. Like, it's not, you know. Anyway, that said, he just came back from school and I'm like, here, you're going to have something in front of you to like eat mindlessly. Have a whole bowl of vegetables. Enjoy. That was kind of the goal. So, how can I shorten this in any way? I mean, I would say just using regular lemon juice, like from the bottle. So instead of zesting a lemon, which the zest is good, but you could just use this. And I think for this recipe, I'm probably going to call for this as opposed to juicing and zesting a lemon because this is easier. It's already in your fridge. It's juice. You just pour it in a bowl, mix it with the oil. Like, super straightforward. I think that there's really no getting around using a knife for these, though. Like, genuinely, I don't think that you can. I don't think that the box grater is an option, which is sad and not a little bit annoying. It's in fact a lot annoying because I do think that it would be way more convenient. The other thing with this salad is that if you want to add other things to it, like I just tossed some dried cranberries on the top of his. It would be great. Like you could put pine nuts in here, you could put walnuts in here, you could put pomegranate seeds in here, you could put blueberries in here. Blueberries would probably be pretty good. Obviously dried cranberries work really well. but I think this is good. The goal is to have this sort of be not really a slaw. Like, if I was making a slaw, the food processor would be perfect because it breaks things down really small. This is like teetering on the edge of a slaw, but because it's done by hand, there's not, it's chunkier. So this is really more of a salad. So I'm happy with it. It is very easy. I think ultimately it's a lot easier than what I just did. But again, we're not doing all of what I just did when you make it. You're just following the directions. So that's going to be, I think on Thursday, we will probably try both of these again. On Thursday, we're going to do a few other things that are also productive in the kitchen. I think Thursday, I'd like to make some breakfasty types of foods because we're getting into the school year, and I came downstairs this morning and Calvin was like at the refrigerator just kind of staring into the abyss. And he was like, there's nothing for breakfast. And I was like, how about an egg? And he was like, can you just cut me up an apple? And I was like, sure. So he had an apple for breakfast, which, you know, is good, but isn't necessarily like robust nutritional density there. I mean, it's better than a bowl of cereal, probably. Which we also have, and I didn't really think of because I don't really eat cereal. Do y'all eat cereal? Like for breakfast? I never had cereal as a kid. That's not true. I had cereal, but we didn't eat it for breakfast. It was like a snack. We had what do we have? Cookie Crisp. I had Cookie Crisp in the house, and it was like a treat. You could have like a little cup of Cookie Crisp as like a snack in the afternoon. Kind of funny. But yeah, we have weird cereal. We have Cocoa Puffs. No, Cocoa Krispies. I forget why we have Cocoa Krispies. But we have, with Cocoa Krispies, Cocoa Puffs, Rice Krispies, and Corn Flakes. Weird. It's a very weird, like, layout of food in there. Anyway, we're gonna put this in the fridge. And let's see how this came along. This is my salad from my lentil salad from earlier today. I want to see, this has been in the fridge for a little bit. It's not cool, but I'm just gonna see if this changed. And this is still basically the same. Is this cool yet? Let me take a bite of this. So I have some work to do on both of these to refine them to the point where I would be happy handing the recipe to someone else. Right now, these are not in anywhere close to being something that another person could interpret. I mean, I guess you could. They're all pretty straightforward, but not if you were looking for a step-by-step directions on how to do a thing. So, anyway, pretty good. These are pretty quick. And to illustrate just how quick these recipes are, I'm finished with what I need to do for them today. Which is kind of wild. Usually it's not, usually I have to sort of wrap myself up later. I'm like not at all on the timing that I thought I would be, but it's fine. Today we did pretty good. On Thursday,
like I mentioned, we're going to be going to, we're going to be revisiting these. We're going to test them again. Excuse me. We're going to test these again. Both of them, in fact. The other things that we might do on Thursday, I'd like to look at, I want to make a couple breakfast things. So we'll probably make some hard-boiled eggs, if not deviled eggs. We'll probably make some type of muffin. I'd like to do like a protein muffin or something equally weird like that. Not protein muffins themselves aren't weird, but you know what I mean. Anyway, something like that. I would also at some point like to go through and look at a few cookbooks. I'd like to go through my cookbook cart specifically. I feel like it's time. I have a pile of cookbooks on there that is now shoulder height. They're sort of just piled up and not really how do I put this? They're not organized and they're very precarious. They're very precarious. We are probably going to go through those as well. So that's Thursday. So Thursday we'll be definitely back in the kitchen. Today we're going to figure out somewhere to go today. Somewhere to raid. We're going to finish up a little early today because I feel like I got through everything I needed to, honestly. And I'm going to clean up. I'm going to clean up. I got a sink full of dishes. And then we got karate this evening with Calvin. And yeah, and I want to write these recipes up because that is actual work stuff. So let's see. I think I'd like to go to a friend of the stream who is in the kitchen, not always doing food and drink, but occasionally doing food and drink. Hold on. Let's see. Let me make sure. Let me make sure we're in the right spot here. Yes. So we're going to go visit Emily Greenwind. Emily has rated the stream before, has come in. Emily does games, books, photography, trying to keep the streets whimsical, which is like, kind of love that. Anyway, Emily is doing some cooking today, so we're gonna raid over there. And yes, that's what we're up to. So let's get that set up. Hold on, how do I do that? Where are we? Here we are.
But it literally just felt like there was one every 10 minutes.
Command V.
It was 20 minutes, but
There we go. So Emily's been live for an hour and 10 minutes, so she's in the middle, kind of in the middle of things. I say she, I actually don't know if that's accurate. Anyway, hold on. Yeah, I think that's accurate. We like Emily's rules. Must be 18. Be warm and welcoming. No hate speech or slurs. I mean it. If you make someone uncomfortable, either apologize or leave. Keep the vibes immaculate. We love that. We do love all of those rules. Okay, so... Oh, God, I keep losing it. Where am I? Here we are. Here we am. Okay, we're going to start the raid. Goodbye commands are on. Some raid messages in chat. Uncommon, I see you. Hello. Hello. Darlene on YouTube, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you for hanging out today. Camille, thank you for hanging out. I appreciate you.
Okay,
Always good
bye.
to see you. We have finished for YouTube for the day. I hope y'all have